Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Scale the Good podcast. It's a very special episode for us today because we have someone special joining us for this conversation. I'm sure most of you watching this show would know her. For those of you who are based in Sri Lanka, South Asia, who might not know her, she's Maya. Also on the handle, I'm known as FitGreenMind on Instagram and all other platforms. She is a very much sought after vegan food influencer. And she's here with us in Sri Lanka right now, all the way from Europe. And we are very, very thrilled to have her on the show. Welcome, Maya.
Hello, and thanks for the invitation.
Yeah.
Really happy to be here.
Sweet. So thank you so much for agreeing to have a chat with us and for visiting Sri Lanka, really. How have your experience here in Sri Lanka been so far?
I really like it. So unfortunately, we didn't have much time to go to the beach or whatever. But it was super interesting to see how the people live here, what they do for a living. So we started in Matale. I think it's close to Kandy. I'm not sure about geographics here, but I think so. And there I visited a farm. And we cooked together with the ladies there, and they showed us how they grow spices like pepper, cardamom, cinnamon. And for me, it was so interesting to see how this works because, in Europe, there is not the big connection anymore to the produce that's produced far away. So we see cinnamon sticks in the supermarket, and I think many people will assume that cinnamon sticks grow on a tree or something. But seeing how, for example, cinnamon is made and to see how it is used traditionally here was super interesting. But also just nature is beautiful. The food is absolutely amazing. So I really loved it so far.
Great. I'm glad to hear that you've got the best of Sri Lanka. Minus the beach, but that's okay.
Next time.
Exactly. Yeah, there's always a next time. And you must come back, I think, when it's not too cloudy and rainy. And that's something beautiful about Sri Lanka also. It's so diverse in its climate and its food and its kind of places that you get to see. And I think by going to like Matale and the highlands of Sri Lanka, you've seen quite a bit of it too. So let's go back to, I think, your passion as a vegan food influencer. Can you tell us a little bit about what made you become vegan? Have you always been a vegan, or what kind of made you go down that path?
Yeah, sure. So I haven't been vegan all my life. I grew up in a typical German family, and I remember my sister, she's a bit older than me, and she went vegetarian a long time ago. I was like 9 or something. And as a little kid, I was always so annoying to her. I was like, when are you going to eat meat again? And what if you are on an island with a pig? Would you eat the pig? And stuff like that. So I was really annoying. And then eventually, about 2018, 2019, I had to work with veganism for a school project. So I had to write like an essay about it. So I had to go into that topic. And at first I was really skeptical because I thought, veganism is so extreme. Why should you avoid milk? The cows are not killed and whatever. But as I got more into the topic of how animals are actually treated and also the environmental impact that goes with animal agriculture, I was like, maybe it's something I should consider trying. And the past few years, there was a huge development in terms of vegan products in Germany, or I think all over the world, basically. So it wasn't that hard for me. My goal was, I try it for a couple of days and see how it goes. But it was pretty easy for me, so I just stuck with it. And also, I always liked cooking. I grew up in a family where my mom cooked a lot, my dad cooked a lot, and I always liked helping them. And when I went vegan, I tried to cook vegan food for my family to show them that it can taste good. So that's also when I started to develop my passion for creating my own vegan recipes. And also in 2019, I started my food blog then. So it was just like it all went, it was going on at basically the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, 2019 is not too far away.
Yeah.
For most of us, it's like COVID times, lockdown. And I think life changed for a lot of us in very nice ways because we had a lot of time to think and reflect and spend time at home and with families. And 2019 to now, it's 4 years. And you've come a really long way from trying out vegan food to becoming a very strong voice and a kind of a promoter and influencer. 3.1 million views or followers on Insta is not a small amount of growth in such a short time. What made you kind of go into video blogging and kind of presenting what you were doing and sharing out these recipes that you were trying?
Yeah, so first of all, I would have never ever thought in a million years that I will have 3 million followers by now or eventually. Because when I started, my intention was basically my mom and I, we always like to cook together, and we had this dream of launching a cookbook, creating a cookbook together. But I thought, when we create a cookbook now and try to sell it, no one will buy it because no one knows us as mom and daughter. So as a teenager, I used all kinds of social media apps like Instagram, and I thought, why not just start building something there, and then maybe one day I can launch a cookbook. So that was my initial thought, and I started without any experience. So, like, my photography was not good. I didn't know how to properly use Instagram. So I think the most important thing was that I just started. I didn't think about it too much. I had the idea and I just got started. And then by time I compared my posts to the posts of big influencers who were big in that vegan scene, and I tried to implement some things to improve my content. So I got more into photography and tried to make my photos look better, and I was thinking about how to make my captions more catchy for the user. And then I recognized that videos are really popular, especially cooking videos, because it's like for the visual learners much more appealing. And then I started to make like those head over cooking videos. And then I think 2021, I'm not sure, Instagram launched Reels. And at first I was really skeptical about it. But I saw so many people reaching lots of new users with Reels. So I thought, okay, actually I gotta try it. And up to that point, it was, I think, 2 years since I started Instagram. And I think I had like 70,000 followers. And it grew constantly, but very slowly. And I was in a little bit of like a rut. I was, it doesn't really work. Actually, I put in so much effort, but it's not really worth it. Yeah. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus for 1 week on Reels, and in that week, my first video got like 1 million views, and that was the first time ever I had so many views. And on average, it was like 80,000 views or something.
Yeah.
So that was when I felt it was the right decision to focus on Reels now.
Yeah.
And then from that on, I focused on Reels, on getting better with Reels, also to speak to the camera, which I didn't do before, and just make the viewer feel like he or she is cooking with me in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And then it just developed over time, and now I'm here. And it's funny how things just develop.
Yeah, and that's such a cool story. And while you were doing all of this, you were still in school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that work out?
So I finished school this summer, so it's not long ago. And of course, I had to manage my time pretty good. So my plan was always to film on Saturday and then edit all videos on Sunday. So I'm basically free during the week for recording collaboration stories, studying for school, because I have to do that as well. And that worked out pretty well. Of course, I didn't have so much free time, but it was fine for me because cooking and creating videos is so much fun for me. It doesn't feel like work. So that was how I did it.
Nice. And I mean, you haven't professionally followed any cooking or chef course or program, right? Self-taught mostly.
Yeah, self-taught, mother-taught,
Exactly. Yeah,
however
yeah,
you want to
yeah,
call
yeah,
it.
exactly. And then also on social media and digital media, creating content, everything you taught yourself or by experimenting.
Yeah, it was trial and error.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's really cool because your recipes, what I love about it is it's so simple, and you can kind of do it anywhere in the world. And it's also very innovative. I mean, there's a nice quirk to it that I love. So what was the most, because you didn't like train to be a professional chef or train to be a professional influencer, you just found it fun, exciting, and just went into it with passion. When you kind of grew more followers and more influence, were there any surprises? Like, did you stop to think? Were you surprised by any step that you kind of stumbled upon in the path?
Um, well, when I grew more followers and the first inquiries came in, I was surprised that I can actually make money with it because, of course, you see like big influencers living off creating content, but I thought, yeah, I have to be kind of lucky to reach that. And I thought I'm just an average girl. I will never ever make a living of creating content. So when I realized that I can actually build a future up on this thing I created on Instagram, that was actually like a surprising moment for me, and yeah, a cool realization.
Nice, nice. So you said you've been with the farmers and the families and the community in Sri Lanka, and you experienced some food and cooked with them. And this is your first time in the South Asian region, right?
Yes.
Also, yeah. So anything that kind of caught your eye in the Sri Lankan cuisine or Sri Lankan lifestyle?
Um, I feel like it's first of all very plant-based. So lots of the traditional dishes are naturally vegan. I think you cook a lot of with locally grown vegetables, and what I really like is the preparation methods. So tempering the spices and letting it cook, just giving the food time. And I feel like especially on the countryside, it was like there was more of a connection to the food and where it comes from than we have in Germany, for example. And I really liked that because in Germany, it's often you go to a bakery and just quickly grab like a bread roll or something, and there's not much of a connection anymore to where this food comes from. But it feels like here there's still more of a connection, and the food is more appreciated in some way.
Yeah. And was there anything exciting about our cuisine or South Asian cuisine specifically that caught your eye in ingredients or some interesting food you tried for the first time that you really liked? Anything like that?
I tried moringa for the first time,
Yeah.
and that was really delicious. It kind of reminded me of asparagus. And I really like, for example, dal. I think you cook a lot with lentils and rice and like foods that seem to be very simple, but there's so much flavor in there due to the preparation methods, and it's really crazy because when you first see just the ingredients laid out on the table. When I was at the farm, they laid out everything they harvested on a table, and at first you would think, yeah, it's just vegetables, but there's so much flavor in the curries, in the stir fries.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah.
really delicious.
Yeah, yeah. It's so nice to hear it from you because I mean we work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are coming from the same level of passion that you come from about food and about good ingredients and about staying fit and finding the right nutrition through food. But majority, I think, not just in Sri Lanka, but overall in the world, food is just something you eat when you're hungry and you don't think anything more about it. But there's so much more to it if you just stop by to observe. And what we try to do with our work is to also make people aware that it's about how it's harvested, about how it's prepared and processed and added value, and where the food comes from. All of that really adds into what goes into your body. It's not just that ingredient, cooked up. So it's so nice that you experience that yourself. What we also want to know, Maya, is especially through your work, your knowledge about food, comes also from learning from your mom and working with her, and you've really taken it beyond a cookbook that you first imagined, and given it to like a very large global audience, and mostly maybe very young people, Gen Zs and millennials, and maybe even younger. Um, have you really thought about how it is bridging the old and the new, what you're doing, and how it has really brought an impact to the people around you, or people who are connected to the food that you're putting into your recipes? Because from the entrepreneurs that you'll get to meet later today, a lot of them are young, some of them are also old, but a lot of them are what they're trying to do is bridge the old and the new. So how do we bridge the old school practices, the heritage knowledge we have, but give it to a very innovative dish, or exciting culinary experience? So any thoughts on that with your work?
Yeah, for me, because I try to, my recipes are vegan. So for me, a way of doing that is, for example, I have some great childhood memories of foods my grandma used to make or my mom used to make for us as kids. So my way of building a bridge between the old and the young is veganizing dishes, because I think vegan food is more than just a trend. It becomes more and more popular and more important. Also in terms of being more environmental friendly in the future. So I try to give traditional things a vegan spin. For example, I'm pretty sure you don't know the name. It's called Kaiserschmarrn. It's like a scrambled pancake dish.
Okay, no.
Yeah, it's very good. And my mom used to make it for me and my siblings when we were younger, and I loved it. And then I tried to veganize it, because actually it's made with like 8 eggs,
Oh, wow.
so not vegan. And then I tried to make a vegan version of it using chickpea water, for example, and it was experimenting a little bit. And then I posted it on Instagram, and many people were like, "Oh, cool! I also loved it as a kid, and I'm trying to make it now as well." So I think this is my way of
Yeah.
building a connection.
That's wonderful to hear. And did you kind of crack the code to that recipe? Did you figure it out how to veganize it? The
Yeah.
scrambled pan. Nice, nice. We'd love to try it sometime.
Next time I'll make it.
Yeah, cool. So Maya, would you say like veganism is extremely popular in the younger generation now, especially because it has a very strong impact to our environment, like you just said. Climate change is a big issue, and it's a huge issue now. I mean, climate change anyway would happen with or without our intervention, but as humans, we have really accelerated it. And countries like ours is feeling it so strongly. But I think this year, all across the world, there's been so many very obvious signals that it's not okay anymore to take it lightly. So how do you perceive your work of veganism or changing choices of how we eat, how we live, and what we value as humans can really have a positive impact towards creating change?
Yeah, I always try to inspire people. So I think it's more effective to give the people like a good feeling and to encourage them to try something than being there and saying, "Oh, I'm better than you because I eat vegan and you have to do it as well because X, Y, Z." So I just try to give them options with my recipes and to tell them, if you're not vegan, that's okay. You can just try like one vegan dish a week. That's already a big step. So that's my way of doing that. And I always say, because of course there are still people who deny man-made climate change and everything that's happening, because especially like in Europe or Germany, the area I'm from, it's still a little easier to sort of ignore climate change because our climate is still like okay. We are not an island like Sri Lanka, so we don't have those big struggles yet. But I mean, they're about to come when we keep doing what we're doing now. And I always think. Actually, we don't have to worry about the planet so much because it will recover eventually, but we have to worry about our own species, like our grandkids or their grandkids. They might not be able anymore to live on this planet because we destroyed it now with our behavior. And I always try to send out this message, but in a positive way to, as I said, encourage the people to try something. Because I think if you are like very, very explicit about it and make the people feel bad for their behavior, they build like a defense wall and they are not open anymore to change anything. So that's my way.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing to see how intentionally that work is happening through a very simple way, right? At the end of the day, sharing your kitchen experience and your love for food with people. But the impact of it and the messaging of it is much deeper. In fact, I think a couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation with a scientist, a very renowned Sri Lankan scientist, on climate change and avocado toast. And that really touched on the point about our choice as the younger generation, millennials and Gen Zs, choosing different means of protein has been taken up by the industry in the wrong way. How avocado is now a monoculture crop, and that really shouldn't be how that choice should be taken into commercialization. So I think while you are doing a lot of work to change people's behavior, people who are on the farming side, younger generation who's coming into the farming side also is doing a lot of work or needs to do a lot of work to change the ways that we farm as well, so that it kind of meets positive change overall. Just the final question, Maya. People have, I think, had a lot of comfortability and choice of food and having everything at our disposal, spoiled for choice almost. And we consider ourselves at the top of the food chain, and everything is there for us to really consume and feed us. And being vegan is really turning that lens to a different angle. What are the few, maybe 2 or 3 main misconceptions about veganism and how it affects your body, or things that you have come across that people ask you, and you can really strongly say that's not the case? A few taboos like that around veganism.
So one thing that really annoys me when I hear it is that vegan food doesn't taste good, because that's such a broad statement. It's like saying food doesn't taste good, because vegan food can be literally everything, especially nowadays. Like you can go to a vegan fast food restaurant, you can have vegan chicken, but it can also be just like dal, like a lentil stew. So saying vegan food doesn't taste good is really like, if you say that, you've never had fries.
Yeah.
So I can definitely say that this statement is wrong. And I think there's also a big misconception about vegan protein and protein deficiency and stuff like that. I myself, I love doing sports, and when I went vegan, I didn't struggle with getting in enough protein, because there are so many foods that are pretty high in protein. For example, like all kinds of legumes, or also tofu, and soy isn't bad for you. This is also very.
Thank you for saying that.
I think it was a study with mice, and they were injected like very concentrated soy. It's like a human eating 50 kilos or more of tofu a day, and I mean that's impossible for us to eat. So it's also not really applicable to humans, the study that was made with mice. So it's a myth that soy is bad for you. So if you eat even if you eat 2 blocks of tofu a day, it will be still fine. So I think those are the things that I hear most often. And I mean, you don't have to go vegan all the way from today to tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's about the small steps and integrating more plant foods in your diet.
Yeah. Cool. Rapid fire question. What's your favorite song?
Oh, I'm so bad at this.
Sorry.
Can it be a food question?
Oh, okay. You don't like music?
I love music, but
Something that you listen to today.
right, strangers, but I don't know the interpret.
Okay. Okay, cool. A favorite movie?
Um, it's called Creed. It's like a boxing movie.
Creed. Okay, nice. You like sports a lot. Any particular type of sport?
I used to play football for 8 years, so this is my.
Okay. What one ingredient you can never live without, without, salt and stuff like that, but vegan specific ingredient?
I think it's really tofu. I love
Okay, I
tofu.
thought so. Cool. And one particular Sri Lankan ingredient that you'd love to take home with you?
Um, Probably fresh curry leaves. If I could preserve curry leaves and take them with me home fresh, that would be amazing. Because in Germany you can only find those dried ones, and they are not as good as like the fresh ones here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see if we can grow some curry leaves in your backyard. We can try to find a solution for that. Thank you so much for joining with us, Maya. I really enjoy the chat with you, and I mean your very honest opinion about things, and the light approach to solving very deep problems. Really appreciate you joining us, and look forward to all the fun you'll have with us for the rest of the day.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, everybody. That's a Scale the Good podcast with Maya. Check out her Instagram and her recipes and her stories, I think, that covers most of the fun she's had in the farmlands in Sri Lanka. Thank you for joining us.